Hello folks and welcome to the paddock here in Istanbul at the end of a pretty crazy weekend and a pretty wonderful Grand Prix. Well, Buxton and Lawrence Barretto, and we are celebrating the making of history. Lewis Hamilton is a 7-time Formula One world champion.
It's been coming, but I think it's been pretty special, especially as he's done it in Turkey where he was so mega 14 years ago in GP2. Lewis is superstitious, so he doesn't want to get ahead of himself, so he didn't really want to talk about match in 7 until he's actually gone and done it. And you could just see how proud he was, not just for himself, but for his family and for all of the people who've helped him get to where he is today. You
spoke to him in the pen after the race. You've just had a sit-down one-on-one with him as well for the interview that's going to go out to broadcasters. How was he?
In super reflective, super satisfied, super proud mood. He was open, gave really long, thoughtful answers about what he has really achieved. And I think he hasn't really still had time to really digest not just what's happened this year, but what's happened in his whole career. I don't think he's ever really allowed himself to understand what he's achieved in Formula One. So when you talk about matching Michael, I think when he was a kid, he talked wanting to win titles, but I don't think he really ever thought, oh, I'm not going to be challenging Michael. So the fact that he's gone and equalled him, I think has genuinely caught him out.
It's something about this year, isn't it? It's given Lewis kind of presence of mind and allowed him to take stock of who he is, where he is in the wider kind of arc of this sport, then aside from that sport itself, and then in the wider construct of sort of almost the world as a whole and where he can position himself. He's just put a piece out on social media saying that equaling Michael's results, equaling Michael's world championship tally, puts a spotlight on him that he doesn't want to waste, that he wants to be able to utilize that. And it's an incredibly mindful place to be in the aftermath of a race like that and an achievement like that. Incredible.
And the thing is, he hasn't wasted it, has he? He spent this year really trying to put all of the things that are important to him on the map. Diversity, supporting the Black Lives Matter campaign, launching the Hamilton Foundation. And he's done all of this and gone and dominated an international sporting championship, arguably driving better than he's ever driven before. Then done his fashion, continued launching the fashion range. He's now been more open, as you know, with the music as well. He's done more things, he's spinning more plates, and yet he's not dropping any of them. And I think that's what's so good. But he's also very aware of what his position in sport allows him to do, as you touched upon, and he does want to make the most of it, and that's why he's really pushing. And this team have been very supportive of him, running the black livery. An OEM doing that is a huge thing to do, and Formula One as a whole is very supportive of this campaign as well. And you know, at the crux of it, Lewis is there driving this on.
He's only done it though because he's got the best car, Lawrence.
I can't handle that. I just can't understand why people think that. And if you need evidence, watch today. That wasn't the best car all weekend. You looked how Valtteri Bottas struggled, his teammate, in the same car. Spun 5 times, I think? 6, there you go. Lewis didn't put a foot wrong. And he went and got the job done and won the Grand Prix. Arguably, he shouldn't have done it. It was a champion's drive. And also, to create the best car in the field takes a leader. It takes a driver who knows what he wants from a car. It's not like he just sits on the back burner, lets the team design a car, gets in it, drives it, wins races. He is such an integral... I was talking to Toto earlier in the weekend for an interview that's going to go out next week on the F1 channels. And Toto was full of praise for the role that Lewis has played within that team. Keeps pushing them forward, telling them what he needs from the car, how he wants it to be adapted, developed. You know, he doesn't just sit there. That's what people need to understand about racing drivers. It's not like they just turn up at the factory and go, that's a nice car, I'll drive it fast. They're such an integral part in creating the car that they drive. And that's what he was doing. As soon as we've done our interview, he was going to the debrief. You know, his first focus wasn't, I'm going to go and celebrate 7 world titles. It was like, well, what did I do right today? What did I do wrong today? What can we improve for the next race? And then talking about what he wants to do to celebrate, he was like, well, there's still 3 Grand Prix left to go, and I want to go and win them all. That is, it's a measure of Lewis, isn't it? Look, the questions are going to be asked, you know, on the day when he's equalled Michael, how does he compare? How does he contrast? Is he the greatest of all time? It's always so difficult to make those comparisons across generations, but
should we be making that comparison?
I think we should, because I do think he is the greatest of all time. I think what he's doing, not just statistically, but what he's doing in terms of talent, just showing raw ability out on track, what he's doing outside of the sport and for the sport as a whole. I just think that he's the whole package, and I don't think we've ever seen anything like it.
People will say Michael had more competition, there were more people winning Grand Prix. I would counter that with, yes, but the rivals were doing a better job in those days to match the force being shown by Ferrari. You know, if Mercedes are playing to the same rules as everybody else, and actually, you don't want to ever sort of diminish achievements that have gone before, but something that has been said of the way in which Lewis has gone about his racing and the way in which Mercedes have gone about winning their titles as well is they've all done it totally above board. Their reputation has never been tarnished by suggestions that they've done it the wrong way. Lewis has never driven in a way that his rivals would counter as being disrespectful or over the limit or on the edge. The team has never skirted the edge or flouted the regulations in a means by which they could gain an advantage. They've done it all in a way that has been so down the line. You can't have, and this is the amazing thing in this paddock, I think, right now, is with other teams or drivers that have achieved a huge level of success, there's always been a bit of a lingering sort of negativity towards them. There's nothing but respect for what these guys have done, and a desire from everybody to raise their game to try and compete.
And if there is a level of frustration, it's just because they're just not doing a good enough job for versus these guys. They still have the respect for what they are achieving. I think what really does make Lewis stand out versus Michael is his teammate. I think that Valtteri Bottas and Nico Rosberg and Jenson Button have been better teammates and pushed him more than Michael ever had.
And Fernando Alonso.
Exactly. Fernando, of course.
Don't forget Heikki as well.
He's had very strong teammates, and he's always managed to get on top of them. And if that's what you've got to do as a racing driver, beat your teammate first. And so if you want to do that, if you want to go down that comparison route, I think Lewis beats him in that metric.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? I think next year, will he get 8?
Almost certainly he's going to get 8. I'm going to say it now. You like predictions.
But I know, but here's the thing: where will he stop? Where does he stop? He doesn't think he's at his best. I don't think he's at his best. He seems to be able to draw a new level out of himself. I wonder if this new set of regulations in 22 will give him just another spark, another piece of motivation to go and to have an even longer career. You know, Max Verstappen's already said he's got to drive until his 40s to even think about matching what Lewis is doing. Lewis might be driving into his 40s.
He might be. He's only 35, so even if he does 5 more years, he could win, got to do my math there, 12? Is that right? 12?
Well, 5 more would be 13.
13, okay, there you go. I can. Yeah,
I think.
Okay.
Would it be?
No, it would be 12. Oh, if
8,
you get
9.
a maths lesson. No, 5 more from this year.
Oh, 5 more from this year.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to do maths.
We're good at maths.
Yeah. But yeah.
But he could go on and he could win many, many more titles. And the way he was talking today, I think he wants to go on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's exciting for Formula One. People up and down this paddock should be excited by that, because they should want to go and beat the best. They should want to go and beat the best. And if Lewis is still here, they're going to have the opportunity to do that.
It's incredible. And as you say, a decade and a half on from the moment when in that GP2 race here, he set the world on fire. And I remember the pit lane, everyone down tools. This place was jaw on the floor, witnessing the emergence of this kid and recognizing this supreme talent. And here we are, not a decade and a half later, and he has matched Michael in terms of world championships. He has won more races than any driver in history. He has more pole positions than any driver in history. And he just seems as though he's going to continue to go on, break records, and make this sport his own. Where do you think this sits, not just within Formula One, globally, from a sporting perspective?
I think it's right up there. He's up there with the Usain Bolts in athletics. He's up there with the Roger Federers and Rafa Nadals in tennis. I think Tiger Woods in golf. I think that he hasn't just moved to the top of his sport. He's moved to like the top echelon of sporting greats across the world, across all disciplines. And for a Formula One driver to do that, I think it's huge. Just for our sport, it's great. For him, it's an incredible achievement. I just think he's right up there.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and the fact that he's done it this year as well, alongside so many other fantastic enterprises that he's embarking on as well, and really letting his voice be heard can only be a positive thing. Right, let's wrap this thing up before we get accused of being fanboys. But the thing is, and as I think you at home will see from every journalist that has the pleasure and the joy of reporting on this sport. And I'm sure from journalists in the wider world of sport as well, this achievement will be lauded and will be heralded from the rooftops, because it is just that big and it is just that important. It's not just us that will say it, you know. To a journalist, they will all have the respect for this because they know what it takes and just how good he is.
We've been very lucky, I think, to be working in the sport this year and the last few years, and while Lewis has been here, because what we are seeing is extraordinary.
It really is. It really is. Can't wait to see if anyone can mount the challenge to him in 2021 or in the remaining 3 races. Bahrain, Abu Dhabi left in this crazy 2020 season, but Lewis Hamilton is not just your world champion for this year. He is a 7-time world champion and inarguably one of, if not the single greatest driver that our sport has ever known. From Lawrence and me, thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll see you next time.